Yep.
All right, good evening. This is the Huntley School District 158 Board of Education meeting, our committee of the whole meeting, Thursday, August 6th, 2026. Clock says it's 6:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Craddy?
Here.
Mr. Ruth?
Here.
Mr. Troy?
Here.
Mr. Feckety?
Here.
Mrs. Murray? Mr. Bobby? Mrs. Myrino?
Okay, we do have a quorum with 4 board members, so we are going to continue. Item 2 on the agenda here is allegiance. Everyone can rise, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, student recognition. We're going to forego this evening. We didn't have any students that came, so we thought we'd push this out a little bit so we can have more students that actually come and be recognized. Item 4, public comments. I do have one sheet here. Owen Hunt, come on down. Thanks for coming this evening. There should be a little button on the microphone stand. A bright light.
Good evening, members of the board. I want to start by saying thank you for allowing me to speak in front of you all today. My name is Owen Hunt, and I'm here as a representative of the robotics team at Huntley High School. You may not already know this, but as it currently stands, there will not be a robotics team next year due to a lack of coaches and underwhelming budget. By coming here today, I'm hoping I can bring awareness to the robotics situation and find someone who would be willing to coach me, my team, and any other people who are coming into high school to do robotics. I'm also hoping that should we find a coach, we can set up an appropriate budget so that robotics can run smoothly. I have spent 2 years on the robotics team, and it has helped me learn about engineering as well as teamwork skills. I first learned how to code through robotics, as well as learning how to take that code and turn it into something physical and something to be proud of. Robotics also let me come out of my shell, as before the robotics team, I rarely went out besides school, and I'm positive a lot of other students feel that way as well. Robotics gave me a community, a way to develop my skills, and showed me what inspires me. The robotics team has even had at least one team each year make it to the state championship, which shows that my fellow members of the robotics team have real commitment. Disbanding the robotics team removes one of the few places where non-athletes and students who are not as outgoing can find their passion, build confidence, and discover that they are interested in and could even excel at software development and applied engineering. Robotics is a great opportunity to make friends and discover if robotics or other related STEM fields might be a choice for someone to invest into for the future. It would be a great loss for our whole community to see robotics dissipate this way. Thank you for your time tonight, and I'm eternally grateful for any guidance or support you or anyone else could offer to help save robotics.
Scribbling that's going on, so thank you for bringing awareness to this and speaking in front of the board tonight. Item 5, revision and adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to be made to the agenda? I'm not doing anything. I move to adopt the agenda as presented with no changes.
Second.
I'll give that to Mr. Craddy. Welcome back, sir. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Item 6, student advisory representative, Mr. Rosner.
Hello, board. Yesterday, the student advisory representatives had a meeting with Superintendent Mrs. Lombard and Mrs. Barr. And at the meeting, we discussed different ways to capture student voice at both middle school and elementary levels, as well as the high school. We decided that over monthly meetings with both Mrs. Lombard and Mrs. Barr would be had during our lunch periods at HHS. And that as well, monthly meetings with HHS principal Mrs. Letkevich would also be held to share student perspectives found through a new monthly program that was devised during this meeting. During certain late starts of every month, students will be able to meet in either the Black Box Theater or the PAC in the high school to discuss feedback that they have for whether that be the high school or the district. And from there, us student advisory representatives will facilitate that conversation and share our feedback versus the students' feedback with both the board and the HHS principal. As well, we will participate in the principal advisory meetings at HHS and the superintendent student advisory committee. We have also decided to continue the school visits from last year, having them once a semester in the fall and the spring to talk to students about their school experience and focusing on transitions for students who are new to middle school or high school. So those students going from 5th grade to 6th grade or 8th grade to freshman year. To streamline this process, we decided to split up the campuses where Emma would take the Square Bond campus and Legee, and I myself would take the Reed Road campus. For Chesapeake and McCaben, we would contact the staff as it may be easier to articulate students' ideas through the staff. And then for Conley, Martin, and Magee, we proposed contacting 5th grade ambassadors with staff oversight to share the 5th graders' ideas. Over the middle schools, maybe we decided to either contact the principal or any 8th graders who felt like they wanted to assume a leadership position. Over January and February, we also discussed the process for electing a new student advisory representative, where us as student advisory representatives would act as the first reviewers and screeners for applicants and help promote this position and the opening with text messages, morning announcements, and flyers for students at the high school. And that's about it.
All right, any questions from the board? Thank you very much for that update. Item 7, Curriculum and Instruction Committee. Mr. Feckey, I turn it over to you.
And I will turn it over to Dr. Hoyu for a learning and innovation update.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, board. Just bringing back a couple of the things that we talked about last month. We have finalized our grants. Glad that process is done. I just wanted to also just give a shout out to everybody on Administrator Kickoff Week. Maybe Ms. Lombard will continue talking about this, but we've had 3 full days with all of our administrators across the district, and we've been able to do things like strategic planning, social emotional learning, and it's just been really nice connecting with our admin team before we are rocking and rolling, which is coming up soon. And then real quickly, we're just preparing next week for new staff days, so at the end of this month, we can give some updates about what took place during new staff days. And last but not least, Institute days. Those are quickly approaching, and we're excited to be organizing. The entire L&I department is organizing a speaker for executive functioning that's coming to every staff member, pre-K-12, so necessary. And I think we'll have some really nice feedback to share with the board when that's done. Any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Hoyu? All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Special Services Committee is next. Mr. Bobby's not here, so Mrs. Maria, you want to take that one?
Yes, and I will turn it over to Dr. Hill.
There. Hi. So every year about this time, we give you updates on summer school and ESY and all the things that happen in the Special Services Department over the summer. We spend a lot of time over the summer continuing to support students. So the memo that I presented has a summary of the things that we were doing specifically in the Special Services Department to continue to support students. So the first thing in our memo is just some information about extended school year. Like summer school, extended school year operates like a continued school year, but it is part of a student's eligibility for their IEP for continued services. So we have, not every student with an IEP is eligible for ESY. There is a process that we go through to determine eligibility. We had about 175 students who attended. There were a little over 220 students who were eligible, but 175 participated in our ESY program. Our elementary students participated over at Chesapeake, and our secondary students participated over at the high school. So great opportunity for our staff to continue the work. It's just pretty awesome, actually. The other things that we do, you know, we have a partnership with Easter Seals that offers some professional development throughout the school year. But one thing Easter Seals does for our teachers at the start, or before the start of the school year, is they offer something called a classroom setup, which helps support our students in some of our self-contained classrooms, have a classroom that is ready to go for them and for their staff on day one. It offers visual picture schedules, the classroom behavior supports. When you walk into a classroom that's been set up from Easter Seals, it looks like veteran teacher has been doing this for a million years, because Easter Seals really allows them to have what they need. So it's a really great opportunity we have for our teachers. For our new teachers, they get new classroom setup. For our veteran teachers, they do something now called a class startup, or I think we call something slightly different, Smart Starts. So a little bit less comprehensive, but still gives them the visual supports that they need for their day one. And then we also have an opportunity for staff to come in and do something called a make and take, which many of our students require visuals for their curricular needs, and teachers are able to come in and get the materials they need to teach and instruct our students in those programs. So a lot of time with Easter Seals and doing some great things there. We've also been doing a pretty heavy lift for special education curriculum over the last couple of years, and so I highlighted one area in our self-contained programs. We've been, you might remember me talking about our unique learning system, which is a curriculum that we use to support our students with the most complex learning needs. As is everything in special education, we change names all the time. The ULS is now called Everway, and so the team that is implementing is no longer called the ULS implementation team. So I had just shared on the memo a branding so that you know how the teams our teachers are being supported. So we have 2 teachers, one at elementary and one at secondary, who are supporting our self-contained programs with the implementation of curriculum. I want to acknowledge them, Bree Baird and Amy Jo Tetros. So our assist team is our alternative standards and specialized instruction support team. We won't change that for some time, but anyway, it really, at its core, it's teachers teaching teachers, you know, how to teach, and it's the best way to do it. We've really found some great success, and so we're really excited about the curriculum that's being implemented. We are also continuing to develop the Circle of Courage through our SES program. So there was work over the summer on their scope and sequence. We did some specific work around behavior intervention plans, and we're going to continue to focus on some targeted PD with those specialized groups throughout the school year. So it was a heavy lift this summer, and it was fantastic as well. So hoping our teachers feel really supported and our students will be ready day one. That's all. Any questions?
I have a quick question, sorry. When Easter Seals comes in and designs the rooms, are they all the same?
Great question.
Because I know they're, especially I'm not going to call out, but for some of our autistic students, some like the vibrant colors,
Yes.
and for others, it actually triggers and causes,
Yeah.
it appears disorganized. So are different rooms themed differently?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I appreciate you asking that because it is individualized. So when Easter Seals comes out, they schedule that time specifically with that classroom. They go over the class roster, the student needs, the student makeup, and so they individualize each classroom setup for that specific teacher and the roster and the class that they're teaching. Because the SNAC classroom is a little different than our Strategy Ed classroom. So it is individualized, and our teachers do come in over the summer to make sure that their classroom is set up in the way that works best for the students that are rostered there. So that's a great question.
Great to hear that that's individualized for the classes and that the students are placed in a like-minded setting, and that the room is set up for their needs. So that's a really good thing.
I think one of the neat things last year, I was able to go over, and it was actually at the high school when they were setting up for that day. You know, we get the question of why do we do this on an annual basis? Because the students' needs change, the makeup of the classes change, and so that collaboration and that professional development that happens on an ongoing basis has been fantastic. And so they're hearing and working with experts and setting up. So day one, if there's, you know, visuals that need to be done, they're ready to go. And it's not taking the time to learn about the student right there and then, and move on. They're able to do that in the summer, and it was a fascinating, experience to watch.
Yeah, and they do keep the materials in a library, so our staff are able to access those materials throughout the year. They can share them with, you know, with other classrooms, and so we're working actually with Everway to create a catalog for staff who maybe didn't get a classroom setup or didn't do the classroom setup, but would have access to the materials. So right now, every classroom setup has a folder they can share out, but we're trying to make it a little bit more streamlined. But we have access to all of those materials, and it's pretty fantastic.
Awesome. And there's room then to adjust if needed.
100%.
Will Easter Seals come back and be like, okay, we'll help you with
Yeah.
something
They do.
not?
Yeah, they come throughout the year to do some consulting with us for that very reason, help our teachers learn how to use the materials, how to adjust things for sure. Our challenge sometimes is that we can't get enough of their days. They only have so many days. But I think we've found a good balance, and it's nice that they now have not just the classroom setup, but the Smart Start for those veteran teachers who really just need their classroom kind of boosted with materials. And so if you are ever doing a walkthrough in a building, maybe check in with one of the classrooms that had a classroom setup and take a look. Or, you know, I certainly show the, you know, folders with materials. It's pretty fascinating how many materials get made, and it allows our students to stay here with us in the district to receive their instruction. And yeah.
I think it's important, you know, just that the community hears all that goes in there, and the importance and the value behind what Easter Seals does. You know, we pay.
Yeah.
We pay for a service, but it's clearly providing.
It's a large investment in our teachers and our students, for sure.
Right. So it's for everybody to hear that these tweaks can be made, and it is individualized for those classes. It's really important, so thank you. My second question, I'm going to wrap back around to ESY. Has there been any feedback from families about the change in our schedule this year for how ESY and summer school? We went down to like one session, correct? We didn't do two?
Oh, so ESY didn't change for that. ESY, our calendar runs the same as summer school, so nothing changed with ESY in terms of the dates. We have the same number of days.
But it changed from last summer, right? Wasn't there a
No.
session after
No.
4th of July last year? Maybe
That
I
was
missed it.
secondary, courses.
Summer school.
Secondary, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah, so summer school is different. Summer school is an elected, like, a choice, an option for students to take. ESY is very specifically for students with an IEP, and they have to be eligible. It's at no cost to the family because it's related to the needs of the IEP.
Right.
So nothing about the ESY timeline or sessions changed or have changed at all. So they have not, our students with disabilities have not been impacted because we're required to provide an extended school year program. So we have not made any changes to the schedule for them.
Okay, that's good to hear, because I was thinking, I'm like, if we shorten that and we've got such a gap between when ESY ended this year and the beginning of the school year, there could be some struggle with, you know, getting back into the routine of things, and I know that's the point of ESY,
Exactly,
is to
yeah.
not lose, you know, some of that
Yeah.
momentum and those skills. So,
Yeah.
okay,
So no changes to ESY.
all righty, thank you.
Yep.
I'm done with questions. So then, does anybody else have any questions? Right, so then I will pass it on to, Finance Committee, Mr. Preddy.
Thank you. 9.1 monthly fiscal updates, Mr. Altmeyer.
Thank you very much. Just a few items to note. The audit is beginning August 17th, and the team is finalizing preparation for the audit. At that time, we'll be able to provide a preliminary year-end estimate. As discussed at the last meeting, based on where we were trending, we will be trending in a deficit position. But when we get that information, we'll get that to the board once that audit begins. In addition, the budget, the 5-year plan, in 2 weeks, we'll be presenting the display draft of the budget. So stay tuned at the next board meeting. We'll be bringing that forward. The tech team continues to pull together the additional information requested for the boardroom video enhancement. So we're just about there. So in the next month or so, we will be pulling that together to bring before the board several different options to consider. And I did want to make the board aware that at the next board meeting, as an action item, we always do this, we will have a declaration of surplus, things that we need to dispose of within the district that requires board approval. So other than that, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Okay, moving on to 9.2 payables, Mr. Altmeyer.
Nothing to add?
Any questions on the payables? And 9.3 revenue and expenditures report.
Nothing to add, as I just noted, based on where we are with the preparation of the audit. Once we have that revenue and expense for the year end, June ending, 12 months ended, we'll bring that forward.
Perfect. And 9.4 revenue contracts.
You have 3 revenue contracts in front of you, one with Marlowe Middle School, one with high school girls volleyball, and one with McCaven Elementary. I do believe there is a crowdfunding one in the packet. Mr. Ruth asked a great question. You remember we had the board approved Found last month, and we talked about they have a crowdfunding feature of 92%, 8% split on the crowdfunding side. And we said, hey, once we get up and running, we're obviously going to encourage a lot of our coaches to use that. The good news is we do have some of the coaches wanting to use it, and they're going to test it out. So hopefully we'll continue down that path. But what I also noted to Mr. Ruth is every crowdfunding company is just a little different with what they provide, what they're able to do, the relationships they have, whether they do the discount cards or other things. The 92.8 is straight crowdfunding, just reaching out to people, kind of asking for donations. So please consider that. But I think the implementation of the processes that we have put in place have made a huge difference for our kiddos and for those clubs and athletic teams that are doing fundraising. So thank you to the Board of Education for that, and just wanted to update you on that as well. So other than that, nothing else to add on the revenue contracts.
Questions?
I have some questions. I'm looking at the one for volleyball, and if I look at under program terms, and there's a sentence in this agreement with Pro Level Fundraising that says EC, who I think is one of the companies that Pro Level is doing business at, procures third-party software and is not responsible for software integrity. What steps can the district put in place to protect students' information from these softwares that may have access to information?
Well, certainly they don't have access to the information that you're referencing, right? The information that they have access to are information such as family members and whatnot that is provided to this company. So we do not provide student information to this company.
Okay, so this would be, or it would be, so if my child were to go ahead and list my phone number in there, they would have access to that, or if I, donate, any person who would be donating that information, my name would be out there, but we're not providing anything from our district.
No, I know that the district is not, meaning these, organizations that are running our fundraisers, what can be done to protect our students, because they have to know, like I said, it's Jessica's family member, so now they have information on you. I'm trying to think proactively and really protect our children, and what information do they have, and what obligation to protect their privacy and their information do the third parties have, especially when they're saying, we utilize these third parties and we are not responsible for their software integrity. I just want to, know if there's anything we can investigate to look at, for, ensuring that, our students and their information and things is kept, as confidential as possible, and then,
Yeah, we can look into that.
Yeah,
To my
yeah.
knowledge, none of them
Yeah.
have any connection to
Okay.
student data at all.
Right.
So we could
Okay.
definitely look into that.
And then if we could just make an adjustment on there, this still says, that this agreement is, following the laws of the state of Arizona. Just make sure that
Yeah.
we get that changed to Illinois. I think that is all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right.
The only thing that I wanted to add, it didn't hit me till now. I think when they put those clauses in, it's because of where the companies are based, not necessarily where they're doing business. This company is home to Arizona, and so even though they're doing business in Illinois, I think that's why they put this language in there, because it's the governing language tied to where the business resides.
But a few months ago, I think we had all discussed that and agreed that the contracts would change to Illinois.
Yeah, we make every effort to do that, and sometimes they do push back, their attorneys push back and say, no, it absolutely has to be here. But most of the time, they give on that, so,
Yeah.
that is an oversight, so we will get this corrected.
Yeah, I mean, we're still in that learning curve,
Mhm.
Of transitioning over and looking at these things. And as we find them, and again, it's just, how can we be just very proactive? I mean, people are weird, and they're finding ways to get access to children and families in different ways and their information. And I just want our district to be as proactive as we possibly can, because we're responsible for their safety, protecting them.
Okay,
Thank you.
anything else? Moving on to 10, Human Resources, Mr. Roof.
Thank you, Mr. Craddy. I'd like to report, I asked about, last meeting for, salary comparisons and, for the management teams. And I was comparing it to an article in the school journal, which showed the averages throughout the state. And I just want to report back that I feel as from the taxpayer perspective, we're representing our community well, and that all the wages are within the averages and the medians of the state of Illinois. So with that, I'd like to, turn it over to Dr. Zier for his report.
Yeah, good evening. Update from the Human Resource Department. The number one question a month leading into school is, how does staffing look? I've decided to stop answering it because I don't want to jinx anything right now. So, we are comfortable right now. We are receiving some resignations here 2 weeks out from some support staff, things of that nature. But when we come back to the regular board meeting, I hope to have a really solid update for those, especially certified unfilled positions that we may be facing. But we're in good shape right now, as Dr. Hoy, you alluded to, getting ready to welcome new teachers at the end of next week. Spent some time with our administrators earlier this week, And last week, our administrators are required to do an administrator academy annually. So we were able to host that this year over 2 days, and we're able to get our administrators to get their academy taken care of, so they don't have to worry about that the rest of the year. So that was good, and everyone got the same professional development, moving towards some goals we have in the future. So, very positive there. And business as usual, I think Mr. Altmeyer mentioned Skyward, so I will. We're still transitioning to Skyward. We're going to feel that a little bit here when we get 1,400 people back. Everyone's been getting paid, but they haven't had to use the punch in and punch out, so that's going to be a little bit different. We were able to have a small group over the summer utilize that, but there's going to be some kinks to work out as we move forward with Skyward and everyone gets used to the new software. That's where we stand right now. We're in pretty good shape.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I turn over buildings grounds, Mr. Craig.
Right, thank you. Item 11, building and grounds, O&M deferred maintenance capital projects. Mr. Linquist, good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Troy.
We'll turn this over to you for our annual dive into
The
the 10-year plan.
Okay, for over 20 years in the late summer, the administration has presented the Board of Education with a report offering a 10-year view of large-scale life cycle replacement projects. The report contains two separate looks, divided up by fiscal year and by task. The administration is presenting this report attached to gain consensus for the commencement of the design development of several large-scale projects for 2027. This report is reevaluated every year. Keep in mind, this document is a living document, and things do get shuffled around based off of the district's needs and the budget I'm given to work with. Join me on page 2 is a breakdown of fiscal year budget needs with an average annual cost of just over $3 million for the next 10 years per year. Any questions on page 2? Pretty self-explanatory on that one. Pages 3 through 8, we start the projects, the list projects sorted by year. Starting with FY27, which is the current year that we're in right now. We are looking to wrap up the Heineman project. That's a $2.7 million project. We'll start commissioning that next week, actually, so it's on track for that. A couple of the large ones for next summer would be cafeteria replacement tables and the concrete walk here at door 1, all the way wrapping around to door 3, I believe it is over there. FY28, I'm just going to go through the years and just point out the larger projects. I'm not going to go through every project because we'll be here all night. Some of the larger ones for FY28 are carpet replacements coming down the road. Another chiller at Martin Elementary School. If you join me on page 4, FY28, we have the tennis court restoration at Huntley High School. We try to get that on an 8-year cycle, 8 to 10-year cycle, based on the needs. And then the track resurfacing for Huntley High School is projected for next summer as well. So there's a lot of projects coming up that I wanted to wrap everyone's heads around. We'll be going out to bid for a lot of them this fall to get ready for next summer already. Then down the road, I'll try to do like the next 5 years, because after that it gets hairy on the project. So more carpet replacement. We got the football field FY29. So that's actually summer of 28 would be the football field. We'll try to get that done. FY30, the field house floor is in there. Carpet replacements as well. So as you can see, the next projects will be a lot of carpet replacement as we're getting to that 20, 25, 28-year-old carpet in some of our buildings. It's time to replace it. And then that goes all the way out to FY36 to wrap up our 10-year on that by fiscal year task. If you join me on page 9 is where it gets into, we're sorting it by task. And it's all budgeted out by task. You'll see one of our larger ones on there for the next 10 years is asphalt replacements of just over $7 million. Any questions on page 9 while we're looking at it? Pretty self-explanatory on that one as well.
it is nice to see no roof, well, roof replacement, there's one there for the 1.8 million, but it is not what it's been in the last few years. So we're in good shape as far as that goes.
That's actually
For the
a
foreseeable future.
restoration too, we're
Yeah.
not, so, we're actually starting an agreement with Femco, who was our roof provider through all the years with Doug, on a maintenance agreement to maintain all the wonderful roofs that he's done over the last 10, 15 years.
And the football turf, that had a 10-year lifespan? Was it more?
It was more than that. It was predicted being between 12 and 14, 15 years. That went in 2014? I think the first football year was 2015 on it.
Maybe upgrade. They repaired it.
Well, they
Yeah,
repaired every year, and they
Yeah.
repainted the logos. We have it maintained twice a year with, this just happened this past Monday, where they do a GMAX test.
Sure.
And check it for concussion protocols and all that.
Hard to believe that the football turf has been in there for that long now.
I know. And every time the report comes back, they're saying we're outstanding. We maintain it well and should get a few more years out of it. Hopefully get us to that year that we're projected to replace it.
Yep, all right. Thank you, sir, for indulging that.
And then, I don't need to dive into any more in the next couple pages, but it's listed out, the same projects by, task again, listing the fiscal years that they're in. So, a lot of the same information, just brought to you in two different ways to kind of digest it. I'll take any questions the board might have.
Any questions for anybody?
Just want to comment, I heavily, looked through this and went, quizzed them, and I find it great. I just think you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to, if I could make a comment. I talk to a lot of other CFOs. I know a lot of CFOs in the area, and throughout the state. In fact, I ran into one just about an hour ago. And we were talking about deferred maintenance, and this is a district to the north of us, and this is very common. And he was talking about he's a director of operations and maintenance, and he was talking about his district's deferred maintenance. And he said, our deferred maintenance, over $100 million. And I said, well, is that over 5 years? What is your deferred maintenance plan or schedule? Is that 5 years, 10 years? And he goes, oh, no, that's our deferred maintenance. That is year one. Like the things that we need to do today that we should have done yesterday and the year before and the year before, total over $100 million. And I hear that over and over, that districts have the year one deferred maintenance because they track everything that we really should be doing, that we've been kicking the can down the road year after year after year. And he said they're to a point where they can't even do a 5-year or 10-year plan because their deferred maintenance year one is too big. They just are chasing essentially their tail. And that is almost, and not every district around us, but most districts around us, their deferred maintenance is big. And when you look at our 10-year deferred maintenance plan and it totals $30 million, it really tells you what we've been able to do over the last 15, 20 years. After we built these buildings, we really, truly, Mr. Rinkosik, I think the Board of Education, the administration, we've taken care of our buildings. We've done those roof replacements. We've done our mechanicals, and we're keeping up with things. So I do want to point that out because this is not like any other district. So really proud of that.
Agreed. Having been part of this journey for a bunch of years, it's been a very smooth ride, thanks to a lot of that upfront work that has been put in to organize this, structure it, and make sure that we continue to chip away at it little by little. And it's not something that gets kicked down the road, like we mentioned, in other districts where you can't afford to not kick it down the road any further. Then you have that kind of a backlog. No choice but to deal with it head on. Thank you to the entire team for continuing to spearhead this, continuing to monitor it, and continuing to address the issues as they come up. All right, anything else on the O&M from an update standpoint?
Up and down.
All right, very good. Myrina, I'll turn legislative policy to you.
Thank you.
Right, well, Legislative Policy Committee, we've got item number 12.1. Mr. Troy, do you have any legislative updates?
The only big one is the one that made the headlines in the last week or so with the signing of the cell phone, ban, but that doesn't come into play until the following school year. So, it's coming, it's here, it's just now a matter of time until everything gets implemented and how to address cell phones in schools.
And, by the law, we're already ahead of the game. Our, procedures in the handbook at all of our schools meets, the letter of that. It's just ensuring that we're holding everybody accountable to what those rules are on a daily basis. Just a reminder, at the middle schools, it's bell to bell. Those should be put away when they come into the school, and they can have them back out, when they, leave the school. And, during the, high school, that's during the instructional period. So during classes, unless there was a instructional reason directed by one of the staff members. So those are all in place already, and so, I said we would be ahead of that. There are a handful of districts that are ready for that, but it, has been postponed till 27, 28. That doesn't mean we're gonna change our practices, so we'll continue to with those things.
That's all. 12.1.
Okay. Moving on, does anybody have any questions on? Okay, moving on to 12.2, the intergovernmental agreement, resource officers and reciprocal reporting agreement for the villages of Algonquin, Huntley, and Lake in the Hills. Mr. Dean.
Here. Well, good evening, everybody. Get up here very often, so I apologize for that. Well, good evening, board. In front of you, you guys do have two proposed documents: school resource IGA and the reciprocal reporting agreements for both. For all three: Village of Huntley, Lake in the Hills, and Algonquin. Now, these aren't necessarily new documents. For the school resource officer in the Village of Huntley, it is 20-plus years we've had an agreement with them. For Lake in the Hills and Algonquin, we've had, coming up on 7 years. And the reciprocal reporting agreement, it's been there even longer than the 20 years that we've had our school resource officer. But just to give those a little bit of update, dive into why do we have agreements? The IGA clearly defines the role of our resource officers, clarifies the responsibilities of the resource officer, supports our school safety, addresses legal liabilities, addresses the financial responsibilities for the school resource officer. It promotes consistency and accountability. Now, the reciprocal reporting agreement, it creates a two-way, timely, and lawful flow of information that helps protect students, staff, and the community. It enhances student and staff safety. It establishes clear communications and expectations, promotes consistency and accountability, and strengthens school law enforcement partnership. We've been very fortunate to have a great collaborative partners reference school safety with all Lake in the Hills and Algonquin. Now, what is going to change, or what has changed already? Prohibiting ticketing in schools effective immediately. This came out in 2026. As of January, all the police departments got together, and we're enforcing this rule just as much as we were accepting of it. Effective immediately, a student may no longer be issued monetary fines, fees, tickets, or citations for municipal code violations, a form of discipline on school grounds during school hours. Defined roles of the school resource officers beginning July 1 of 2026. Recall the slide beforehand, we already established what those roles are within our current and updated IGA guidelines. And lastly, in 27-28 annual law enforcement referral reporting, beginning in the 27-28 school year, districts must submit an annual report to ISD with the number of K-12 students referred to law enforcement, as well as the number of instances of referrals. If you look into the reciprocal reporting agreement in or around Section 8, that one's in there, Within the, IGA of the school resource officers, in the 30 responsibilities and additional responsibilities, you see the top two. So those changes are reflected. More than happy to take any questions, or else we move, one last one, I apologize. There is one additional update that will be changing, in reference to financial responsibilities. Nothing will change this year, but in the 27-28 school year, we will move from the 50% responsibility to the 66% responsibility with the Village of Huntley. Currently do that with Algonquin, as well. So those are the things that will be changing upcoming and as well. With that, questions?
I have a couple of questions, just to clarify, you know, for those who might be watching. The SROs are employees of their respective, departments, correct? They are not our district employees, like regardless of our participation in reimbursing salaries, they do work for their, department. So I wanted to clarify that for anybody who might be. With regard to the annual reporting, starting in 27-28, is it a certain level of offenses or referrals, or is it all?
All.
Okay. And so that's due like just kind of by the end of the year and just a
Correct.
summary of?
Yep. And again, within the reciprocal reporting agreement, the IGA, we can have those referrals on the monthly, which again, we meet so very often, we can get those numbers rather quickly.
Okay. And then, my last question, when I look at the IGA, and this is kind of tying back, I'm going to loop back to our Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee, and SB 100, which in SB 100, it does cite that when we're having at least once a year and we're working together and putting our plan to involve people from, you know, law enforcement personnel, and I do see that as part of the agreement 2.3.2 in the school resource officer's responsibilities. Work collaboratively with school administrators to arrange and participate in parent community education sessions. Can we invite them or ask them to come to at least one of our meetings this year as we work with our Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee with our SB 100 obligations? Can they participate in that, or can we, so that we're meeting the law?
Well, I believe in terms of the policy for the intergovernmental agreements and the policy where we're working with the SROs, it's to inform the PTAC about that. They wouldn't be developing that. That has to be developed per the law with the district and with the law enforcement agencies. Could we invite someone from our police departments to join in one of those meetings? We could always, if it was around one of those topics, to have them participate in there. They wouldn't be talking about the discipline and the consequences and things like that, because that's not their role in the schools. But we could absolutely invite them to come to one of our meetings.
Just that, you know, maybe just one a year, because that's what the law kind of calls for, is when we're working together as parents and creating our plan, to have that collaboration with them.
So just real quick, just to answer your question, for you, this might be a little bit more helpful. Within the Skills Safety Drill Act, states once a year that all departments within the district do come together and talk about those crisis and emergency plans with money. But also, we meet regularly doing tabletop exercises, and we collaborate together on all layers of it.
But on that one, when we'll bring them in one of the meetings, we can definitely invite them. But please know that we are meeting the portion of the law through some of these other components of that. But absolutely, when we get to that policy each time with PTAC, we can invite them to.
That would be great. Fine. That's the end of my questions on that one. Does anybody else have any questions?
Great, appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dean. Thank you. Moving on then to 12.3 press policy update, Ms. Lombard.
Sure, I'd like to thank Mrs. Woods for helping again put the policy packet together. This one was much smaller than the last, if you do recall, and the majority of the policies were either because they were some footnote references. I love when they do their non-substantive cosmetic changes. It's really shifting one word for a synonym of another. There were so a number of things that were like that, but there were a couple I just wanted to, also some recommended or suggested exhibits. A lot of times we just make sure our exhibits are containing all of the necessary information, as well as our administrative procedures. There was one of them here when it was talking in reference to the delegate assembly. They actually provided an exhibit that we could bring in either October or November. We talk about which board member will be the delegate, but it's actually a resolution that they've drafted that we can do to formally appoint who that will be. So we've got some language around that. And again, we could do that in October or November as we get ready for that component. The other one, which was a rewrite of a policy, that was 7:330, student use of building and equal access, really was just, the policy was rewritten to include Equal Access Act and the Every Student Succeed Act. And so we were looking at what the press, again, all of these things had been in place, but really when we're talking about that student use of equal access, it's looking at those clubs that are either sponsored or non-sponsored by the district and ensuring that all of our students and our student groups are able to have equal access to the building. And so, again, we didn't have any issues with anything in there. It should be our practice that we are doing anyway, and making sure that our procedures and our administration are all, aware of just those expectations and any slight changes that might be in there, but nothing to change with our practices. We had some conversation around that midway through the school year last year, and have ensured that those things are ironed out. So that was the majority of the main changes were around policy 7330 again, which was the rewrite. Mrs. Woods, nothing else stood out to you? Most of those were, again, slight references for the legal requirements in the footnotes. Any questions on any of the policies?
Okay. Hearing none, I do not. Moving on to 12.4, requested revision to policy 7:326. Altmeyer.
Thank you very much. In June, the Board of Education, we informed the Board of Education of the administrative procedure changes associated with fundraising and specifically on the crowdfunding activity side. And looking at that crowdfunding policy, 7.326, we felt like, well, we need to make a few changes because when that policy was implemented, years ago, that was when crowdfunding was really in its infancy. So you can see we have gone through the current policy and recommended several changes to more closely resemble the things that we're doing within the administrative procedure that we presented in June. So to really take this to the finish line, we wanted to revise that policy as such. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have, but it's really meant to support or provide guidance to the administrative procedure, and it now reflects that.
I found it to be very well-written, and I appreciate the effort that went into putting this together. I think it's nice administrative procedure now.
Thank you, and thank you to Mrs. Woods for pointing that out and working on this.
I appreciate the effort that was put in. I know I've been kind of needling at this for months on end, but just to clarify, my intention is not anything of malice. It really is to ensure, protecting students and getting the most money for our students in our district and their activities, and just making sure that things still, we're a busy district, and things still slip through the cracks, and that things are pro 158. So, thank you. Does anyone have any questions on the requested revision to policy?
Thank you.
All right. Hearing none, we will be moving on to Community Relations and Student Outreach Committee. Mrs. Murray.
Thank you. I don't have anything, so I'm going to send it back to you, Mr. Troy.
Fair enough, thank you very much. Item 14, Board of Education minutes, 14-1, we just have the one set of minutes there. If there's anything that requires cosmetic changes, please review that for any substantive assessments. Please let Sharon know. We can get those entered in before the next approval of this. Item 15, I don't think there's any more public comment.
No, there's not.
Right, moving along, item 16, closed session. I move to enter into closed session at 6 p.m. for, per the Open Meetings Act and School Code item 5 ILCS 120/2C, for the discussion of the appointment, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees or legal counsel. Item 6, purchase or lease of real property. Item 11, matters related to individual students. Item 12, litigation. 21, discussion of minutes, meetings lawfully closed under this act, period.
Second.
Craddy, thank you for moving that along to close the session. Mr. Craddy, with the second, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Ruth?
Yes.
Mr. Troy?
Yes.
Mr. Peckety?
Yes.
Mrs. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Maiorino?
Yes.
Mr. Craddy?
Yes. And before everybody goes, whenever these motions are read for closed session, it's always kind of awkward to read it. Just so that the public knows, there are exceptions from what we as a board are permitted, from what we're required to discuss in open session, and there's a list of exceptions. So these items that are listed by numbers, there's a specific listing, and that's what this refers to. That specific listing item, which we have to identify to the public what that general topic is. So with that, we are in closed session, and I just wanted to do that real quick. Thank you, everyone.
something, huh?
Okay, we are resuming back into public session. It is 8:01 PM. We have no action items out of closed session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Troy?
Here.
Mr. Feckety?
Here?
Mrs. Murray?
Here.
Mrs. Maiorino? Here. Mr. Craddy?
Here.
Mr. Ruth?
Here.
We have 6 board members and a quorum present. Item 18 is adjournment of our meeting this evening at 8:02 PM. That's the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second from Mr. Feckety. Voice call. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. You're adjourned. Thank you. Good night and good luck.
Already on.